Life will never stop throwing things at you: rude comments, unfair situations, unexpected problems. But here's the truth: being unbothered is not about ignoring life, it's about mastering your response to it. When you train yourself to be unbothered, you stop giving free rent in your mind to every distraction, every insult, and every ounce of negativity. You learn that calm is not weakness. Calm is control. Control the controllable means knowing the difference between what's in your hands and what's not. It's understanding that you can't rewrite the past and you can't program other people's behavior, but you can manage your mindset, your choices, and your habits. It's realizing that if you waste energy on things outside your control, you'll drain yourself before you ever reach what you can actually influence. The goal is not to win every fight, but to keep your peace intact while you decide where to invest your energy. Pause before reacting is not about suppressing emotions. It's about creating space between what happens and what you do next. In that space, you decide whether this is worth your voice, your time, or even your attention. That pause is your filter. It's where clarity lives, and clarity will save you from arguments, regrets, and unnecessary stress. Filter the noise, because not every voice in your life is speaking truth or value. Some are just echoes of their own frustration. If you let every opinion into your mental living room, you'll never have a quiet moment. Learn to separate constructive feedback from background static. Some words are worth carrying, others are worth letting go as soon as they reach you. Detach from outcomes by understanding that you can't control the final result, only your part in it. You can do your best and still not get the answer you hoped for. You can give kindness and still receive hostility. Once you stop tying your peace to an outcome, you stop being a prisoner to uncertainty. You become free to move forward no matter how things play out. Self-validation over external validation is about trusting your own approval more than applause from the crowd. Because applause fades, and so does their opinion when it shifts with the wind. If you're constantly waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough, you'll always be one step behind your own life. You need to like your decisions before anyone else does. Selective engagement means not stepping into every conflict, every debate, or every trap laid in your path. Sometimes silence speaks louder than any argument you could win. It's not about being passive. It's about knowing when engaging is a waste of your energy. Emotional minimalism is the practice of protecting your emotional budget. You wouldn't hand out your money to every stranger, so why would you give your emotions to every situation? Reserve them for what matters. Spend them intentionally, knowing they're one of your most valuable resources. Practice consistent calm, because calm is a skill, not a mood. You don't get there by accident. You get there by choosing it over and over, even when it's hard. The more you choose calm, the stronger it gets. It becomes your default, your home base, your first response instead of your last resort. Control the controllable means learning where your power begins and where it ends. Most people exhaust themselves trying to fix things they can't touch. They fight battles in their head that never happen in real life. They replay conversations, trying to edit the past as if that changes the present. It doesn't. What you can control is how you show up, how you speak, and how you handle what's handed to you. You can control your effort, your mindset, your preparation, your discipline. You can control how you treat others, how you take care of your body, how you protect your peace. That's where your energy should live, in the small daily actions that stack up to big change. When you pour energy into what you can control, you stop wasting energy on what you wish you could control. Pause before reacting isn't about bottling up your emotions until they explode. It's about giving yourself a moment to think, to breathe, to process what's actually happening before you respond. That pause is where the difference lies between reacting and responding. Reacting is automatic. Responding is intentional. In that quiet space, you ask yourself, does this need my energy? Does this deserve my voice? Is this worth a piece of my peace? 9 times out of 10, that pause will stop you from stepping into an argument you didn't need to be in, sending a message you'll regret, or letting someone else pull you into their storm. A pause protects you from losing control in the moment. Filter the noise, because not every voice in your life matters. Some people speak from love, others from insecurity. Some speak to guide you, others to project their own pain onto you. If you take in every word as truth, you'll be building your life on someone else's broken foundation. You don't have to respond to every comment. You don't have to absorb every opinion. You get to decide what comes in and what stays out. That's not ignorance, that's self-protection. The more you filter, the more space you have for the voices that lift you up instead of weigh you down. Detach from outcomes. By accepting this truth, you control your actions, not the result. You can do the right thing and still get the wrong reaction. You can prepare for weeks and still see the plan fall apart. That doesn't make your effort meaningless. It makes it real life. When you let go of needing everything to turn out a certain way, you stop living in constant tension. You stop holding your breath waiting for something to go right. You still try, you still care, but your peace doesn't depend on the ending, because you know you gave your best in the middle. Self-validation over external validation is the skill of standing in front of the mirror and approving of yourself before anyone else gets the chance to. People's opinions change with their mood. Their applause fades when they find a new favorite. If your worth is tied to their approval, you'll live in emotional debt, constantly chasing payments you can't collect. When you learn to validate yourself, you don't need permission to feel proud, happy, or enough. You give that to yourself first. Then, when others agree, it's a bonus, not the foundation. Selective engagement is knowing that not every battle is yours to fight. Some things are bait, some things are noise, some things are just not worth your time. You don't have to defend yourself against every accusation. You don't have to step into every debate just because someone invites you. Sometimes walking away is the smartest and strongest choice you can make. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Silence means you've measured the cost and you've decided it's not worth the price. Emotional minimalism is the discipline of spending your emotions the way you'd spend money, with thought, with intention, and with limits. If you hand out your feelings to every situation, you'll be empty before the day is over. Not everyone earns your frustration. Not every inconvenience earns your anger. Not every opinion earns your worry. Save your emotions for what matters, for what aligns with your values, for what actually deserves your heart and your headspace. Practice consistent calm, because calm isn't a gift, it's a muscle. You train it every time you choose not to match someone else's chaos. You strengthen it when you breathe instead of break. Calm isn't about ignoring problems. It's about staying steady while you face them. The more you choose it, the easier it becomes to live there, even in moments when everything around you is pushing for a reaction. Pause before reacting isn't about swallowing your emotions or pretending you're unaffected. It's about putting space between the spark and the fire. That space is everything. That's where you separate impulse from intention. When someone pushes your buttons, the natural urge is to snap back, to prove your point, defend yourself, or take control of the situation with sheer force. But here's the catch: when you react instantly, you're not in control. You're letting the moment, the person, or the situation control you. That split second where you choose to breathe instead of bite changes everything. In that pause, your brain catches up to your feelings. You notice the tone in your voice before it leaves your mouth. You spot the words you're about to say before they cut someone down. You get a chance to ask, will this matter tomorrow? Will this matter in a week? Or am I just feeding someone else's chaos? A pause doesn't make you slow. It makes you strategic. It gives you the upper hand, because while they're reacting out of emotion, you're responding out of clarity. That's the difference between escalating a problem and dissolving it. Think about it. How many arguments would have ended before they started if you had taken 3 deep breaths before speaking? How many bad texts would have stayed unsent if you'd waited 5 minutes before hitting send? How many bridges would still be standing if you'd chosen to pause instead of push back? The pause is not weakness. It's not indecision. It's discipline. It's the quiet decision to not let the moment own you. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes your default, your built-in filter that keeps you from handing away your peace to every passing frustration. Filter the noise, because there's more of it now than ever before. Everyone has a platform, everyone has something to say, and most of them are speaking from their own story, their own scars, their own bias, not from what's true for you. If you try to process every opinion, every rumor, every judgment, you'll drown in other people's voices before you ever hear your own. That's why you need a mental filter. Not every voice gets to enter your head. Not every comment deserves your time, and not every criticism is worth carrying. Some people will talk just to talk. Some will criticize just to cover their own insecurity. Some will give you advice they've never lived themselves. And if you're not careful, you'll start building your life around those voices, decorating a house you never wanted to live in. Filtering the noise means choosing carefully what you let stay in your mind. It's reading between the lines and asking, does this help me grow? Does this come from love or from fear? Is this about me, or is it really about them? Because most of the time, people are projecting, showing you more about their inner world than about your reality. Think of your peace like a home. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open for strangers to walk in and rearrange your furniture. So why leave your mental door open for anyone to dump their opinions inside? Close it, lock it, and hand out keys only to the people whose words you trust, whose perspective is grounded, and whose feedback is meant to build you, not break you. When you learn to filter, life gets quieter. And in that quiet, you can finally hear the one voice that matters most, your own. Detach from outcomes by understanding the truth that's hardest to accept. You control your effort, not the ending. You can show up early, prepare perfectly, give everything you've got, and still, the result might not be what you hope for. That's not failure, that's life. Too many people live in constant tension because they've tied their peace to a specific outcome. If this works out, I'll be happy. If they like me, I'll feel confident. If I get that opportunity, I'll finally feel enough. But when your emotional stability is tied to something you can't control, you've already handed away your power. Detaching doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you put your focus where it belongs, on what you can control in the process, and you release the rest. You still try, you still prepare. You still aim for the best possible result. but you understand that your worth and your peace do not rise and fall with the outcome. Think about it. You can plant the seed, water it, give it sunlight, but you cannot force it to grow on your timeline. You can speak kindly, show up for someone, do everything right, but you cannot force them to treat you the same in return. When you detach, you stop holding your breath, waiting for life to give you permission to relax. You breathe now, you live now. You take pride in the effort itself, knowing that if the result goes your way, it's a win. And if it doesn't, you've still grown from the process. Because when your peace is built on the process instead of the prize, no ending has the power to undo you. Detach from outcomes by accepting the reality that you can influence the process, but you can't guarantee the result. You can put in 10 hours of preparation for a meeting, and the deal might still fall through. You can pour your heart into a relationship, and the other person might still walk away. You can make all the right moves, follow all the rules, give it everything you've got. And still, life might hand you an answer you didn't want. This is where most people get stuck. They work hard, but their peace is chained to the final score. If they win, they're happy. If they lose, they're crushed. And because of that, they're never really free. They're at the mercy of outcomes they can't fully control. Detaching doesn't mean you stop trying. It doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean you become careless. It means you stop measuring your worth by results you can't guarantee. It's understanding that the value is in how you showed up, not just in how things ended. Picture a gardener. They can choose the best soil. They can water regularly. They can give their plants sunlight. They can protect them from pests. But they can't control the weather. They can't dictate how quickly a seed will sprout. If they obsess over the speed of growth, they'll ruin the joy of planting. But if they detach from the timing and focus on caring for what's in front of them, the process becomes rewarding in itself. The same is true in life. You can bring your best to the table and still have things turn out differently than you imagined. That's not a reason to stop giving your best. It's a reason to stop letting the ending define the whole story. Because here's the truth: outcomes are temporary, processes are lasting. The skill you build, the discipline you sharpen, the lessons you learn, those stay with you long after the result is forgotten. When your peace is rooted in the process, no ending can shake it. And the moment you understand this, you stop waiting for life to hand you the right result before you let yourself be okay. You're okay now because you know you did your part. Self-validation over external validation means learning to be the first person, and sometimes the only person, who gives yourself approval. Because here's the truth: if your sense of worth depends on applause, you'll spend your whole life chasing people who might not even be watching. External validation is tempting because it feels good in the moment. A compliment, a like, a promotion. Someone saying, "You're doing great," but all of that is temporary. The same crowd that cheers for you today can forget you tomorrow. The same person who praises you this week might criticize you the next. If your self-worth is built on that, you're building a house on shifting sand. Self-validation is different. It's standing in front of the mirror and knowing who you are without needing anyone else to agree. It's making a decision you believe in, even if no one claps for it. It's recognizing your effort, your growth, your progress, without waiting for someone else to notice. When you validate yourself, you stop playing to the crowd and start living by your own standards. You stop needing every choice to be approved by a committee of other people's opinions. You don't have to post every success online for it to be real. You don't have to hear, "I'm proud of you," for your work to have value. Think about how much energy is lost chasing approval. Editing yourself so you'll fit in. Holding back so you won't be judged. Saying yes when you want to say no, just so someone else won't think less of you. That's not peace, that's prison. When you choose self-validation, you take your power back. You make decisions based on what's right, not what's popular. And ironically, the more you validate yourself, the more the right people will naturally respect you. But by then, you'll know you didn't need it to begin with. Because confidence built on someone else's approval can vanish when they take it away. But confidence built on your own recognition, that's yours for life. Selective engagement is the art of deciding before you step in whether a fight is worth your energy, or whether it's just bait. Because here's the thing: not every invitation to conflict is worth accepting. Some people don't want resolution, they want reaction. And if you give it to them, they win, even if you think you've won the argument. You've probably noticed this before. Someone says something that's obviously meant to provoke you. They drop a comment, send a text, post something online, just sharp enough to make you want to defend yourself. And in that moment, you have a choice: take the bait or keep your peace. Most people take the bait. They think, "I have to respond. I have to set the record straight. I have to prove them wrong." But here's the truth: you don't. Sometimes silence is the most powerful statement you can make. Not because you're weak, not because you don't have a comeback, but because you value your energy too much to spend it on someone else's chaos. Selective engagement also means knowing the difference between battles that matter and battles that just keep you busy. If the issue doesn't affect your values, your future, your safety, Or your relationships, it's probably not worth going to war over. You can let small things slide without letting people walk over you. You can protect your peace without letting your guard down. Think about it like your phone battery. You don't open every app and run every program if you want it to last the day. You keep it reserved for the important stuff. The calls, the messages, the work that actually matters. Your mental energy is the same. The more you give it away to pointless debates, the less you have for the things that truly deserve your attention. And here's the irony. The less you engage in unnecessary battles, the more power your voice carries when you do decide to speak. Because people know if you're weighing in, it's worth listening to. Emotional minimalism is treating your feelings like a limited resource instead of an endless supply. Because the truth is, you don't have unlimited energy, and you don't have unlimited patience. Every reaction costs you something: focus, time, peace, and you have to decide what's worth the spend. We tend to think emotions just happen, and we have no control over where they go. But the reality is, you choose where you place them. You choose who gets them. You choose how much of them you give, just like you wouldn't hand your wallet to a stranger and say, take what you want. You shouldn't hand out your emotions to every situation that comes your way. Not every inconvenience deserves your frustration. Not every insult deserves your anger. Not every opinion deserves your worry. Most things are not worth the emotional price they demand. The problem is, we pay without thinking, spending our peace on the smallest provocations until we're running on empty. Emotional minimalism is about asking yourself, before you react, if I give this my energy, what will I have left for the things that matter? Will I still have the patience for my kids? Will I still have the focus for my work? Will I still have the calm I need for the challenges that are actually important? Think of it like your phone battery again. You don't burn through it playing pointless games when you know you'll need it later to make important calls. You conserve it. You protect it. You use it where it counts. And here's the shift. Emotional minimalism isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that your feelings are powerful, and powerful things should be handled with care. When you spend them on what matters, they have more impact. Because when you stop overpaying for every little moment of drama, you finally have the emotional wealth to invest in the people, goals, and experiences that actually build your life. Practice consistent calm, because calm isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's not a personality trait, it's a skill. And like any skill, it takes repetition. You don't get calmer by accident. You get calmer by choosing calm over and over, especially in the moments when it's hardest. A lot of people treat calm like it's a mood, something you have when life is going smoothly. But if your calm only exists when things are easy, it's not really calm. It's comfort. True calm is the ability to stay steady when everything around you is shaking. That steadiness doesn't happen overnight. You practice it in small ways. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you decide not to take it personally. When you're waiting in a long line and you choose patience instead of irritation. When someone tries to provoke you and you don't give them the reaction they're looking for. Each time you do that, you're training the muscle. Consistent calm is powerful because it changes how people respond to you. Chaos feeds on reaction. When you stay calm, you starve it. You stop being a part of the storm and you start being the still point in it. It also changes how you see problems. When you're worked up, every obstacle feels bigger than it is. But when you're calm, you see solutions more clearly. You respond with strategy instead of impulse. You make decisions you won't have to apologize for later. Calm doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're avoiding the issue. It means you're approaching it with control. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes your default setting. Not something you have to force, but something that's simply who you are. Because when calm becomes your constant, you're no longer tossed around by every problem, every insult, every unexpected change. You carry your peace with you, and nothing has more authority than that. Being unbothered isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's not about shutting off your feelings or living in denial. It's about knowing where to place your energy. It's about protecting your peace like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You control the controllable. You pause before reacting. You filter the noise. You let go of outcomes you can't dictate. You validate yourself before looking for approval anywhere else. You engage only when it matters. You spend your emotions like they're worth something, and you choose calm over and over until it's the air you breathe. You won't master this overnight. You'll slip. You'll react when you wish you hadn't. You'll care about something that wasn't worth it. But every time you catch yourself, every time you make a better choice, you're training that muscle. You're building a kind of strength that doesn't shout, but stands. And when you get there, you'll notice something. The noise is still there. The problems are still there. The people are still there. But they no longer have the power to move you because you've stopped handing them the keys to your peace. You are unbothered. And that is real control.